What's up guys, it's Timo here and welcome to the latest Liverpool transfer news video, and in this video we will talk about Timo Werner and his interview where he openly discussed a potential move to Liverpool, and he mentioned other clubs, so a detailed analysis of that will be included in this video. And also we will have a major update on what could happen if the Premier League season can't continue and if it's cancelled. Because most Premier League clubs are in favor of actually giving Liverpool the title, considering that they are just 25 points ahead of everybody else, and also they only need 6 more points to win the title. The Telegraph did a detailed report on that, and I want to give my opinion on the issue as well, but I want to ask your opinion as well. Do you think the transfer window will be affected if the season is drawn out? UEFA are planning to sit down with every major league around Europe and they will discuss what they should do with the Euro 2020 tournament. I think they will postpone it and they will move it to 2021. By that time, hopefully this current dreadful situation will be over and they can host the Euros in peace, and that gives clubs and leagues more opportunity to complete the season in the summer, hopefully when the situation gets better. But it's a very big if whether that will happen. UEFA will sit down with all the big leagues, the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Serie A, you get it, all the big leagues, and they will discuss the potential decisions that they have to make. It's not clear at the moment whether UEFA will make announcements on Tuesday or whether they will just discuss it with every major league on what they should do with the footballing schedule for this season and also for the summer and for the start of next season. But of course nobody knows how the situation will develop, so I will keep you posted. But now let's talk about the Timo Werner interview where he openly discussed the move to Liverpool, and I think Liverpool are very interested in Timo Werner. This makes a lot of sense. His release clause is only £50 million. I'm not sure if Liverpool have already begun discussions with Timo Werner in the background, probably. I think so. The current really messy situation around football might delay any transfers that Liverpool wanted to make, but it's very promising what Timo Werner said in this interview, and he scored 27 goals in all competitions to fire Leipzig to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And considering that Leipzig is not a really big traditional club, it's a very big achievement. Of course they have money, but you know, many clubs have money around the world and they don't get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So I think Timo Werner and Leipzig can be very happy with the season, and they are also fighting for the Bundesliga title with Bayern Munich. And Timo Werner just turned 24 very recently. His birthday was a few days ago, and he scored 27 goals in 34 games for Leipzig this season. And he also has 11 assists, which means that he is an absolutely incredible player at just 24 years old. He contributed to 38 goals in 34 games. That's an outstanding return. And this is what Timo Werner said in a Sky Sports interview. At this time in professional football, there are two different variations for me and my career. The first is to be a part of a team like Liverpool and Manchester City. They have a good working team. The teams have also great coaches. But this is the question: do you want to go to that kind of team because the situation is already that hard for each member and you want to be a part of it? That's one point you have to look at. The other side are teams which need some big changes because they just won a few big titles but they are not able to compete on the highest level anymore. For me, Manchester United is one of these teams. So at this point of my career, I'm thinking to myself, do I want to be a part of a new team to build up something new, or do I want to stay at my team and make something great? And that's a really interesting dilemma. On one hand, if he moves to Liverpool or let's say Manchester City, he mentions these two clubs, he is straight away in a team which can win titles, which can compete for the Champions League, for the Premier League title. And if I was Timo Werner, I would choose a team who is ready at the highest level, because going to a team like Manchester United, it's a huge gamble. Who knows when Manchester United will be ready to win things again. And it could happen that he goes to Manchester United and he has this ambition of maybe building up a team like Manchester United and bringing them back to the glory days. And I'm a Liverpool fan. I know how this works. Previously, before Jurgen Klopp took over Liverpool were in this position like Manchester United are, where we were in the Europa League, just like Man United, and we were a big club without the success and without the trophies in recent memory. And also we needed to convince some players to come to Manchester United, to come to Liverpool. But I think Manchester United have maybe a little bit more money than Liverpool had when Jurgen Klopp took over. But I think what they don't have is they don't have a very, very smart people in charge of recruitment. And that's why if I was Timo Werner, I would be thinking twice about joining Manchester United, because it's a very risky move. If he goes to Manchester United and it doesn't work out, he wastes 2 or 3 of his best years at a club, which is at the moment, yes, it's going up slightly, but still Manchester United are a million miles away from competing at the top end of the Premier League. They are a million miles away from competing to be in the latter stages of the Champions League. I mean, right now, it's quite crazy to say this, but RB Leipzig are a lot stronger and a lot better club to be at than Manchester United. RB Leipzig have a very, very progressive, very young manager, Nagelsmann, who is just in his 30s. And he already tactically outsmarted Jose Mourinho in both games. In both games, RB Leipzig absolutely dominated and battered Tottenham. And they won quite impressively 4-0 on aggregate. But it could have been a much more. I mean, against Tottenham, when they played at the Tottenham Stadium, they could have scored 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. It was a crazy, crazy game. And I don't know how Tottenham didn't concede more goals. Maybe their goalkeeper was the only reason, because Lloris made some world-class saves. And also in the home game, Leipzig completely outclassed Tottenham. It wasn't even a contest. There was no chance Tottenham would knock out Leipzig. They were just so much better in every department. And at the moment, I consider Tottenham to be on a similar level to Manchester United. And also Manchester United have a manager like Solskjaer, who I don't really trust Solskjaer to build Manchester United up to be a Premier League title contender and to be a Champions League title contender. If even Manchester United make the Champions League, that's a big question at this point, whether Manchester United would be able to make that. So Timo Werner has to be very, very careful what he does in this part of his career. And I think that Liverpool are in the pole position to really go for this transfer. But the big question is, what are Liverpool's plans? I'm pretty sure that Jurgen Klopp realized, especially after, we went out of the FA Cup and went out of the Champions League in a matter of like a week or so, that Liverpool need reinforcements. Liverpool have a great team right now, but if we don't freshen it up, it will go stale. And when you sit still as a football club and everybody is going forward, you are actually going backwards, going downhill. And that's what Liverpool can't afford. We need to strengthen, and Timo Werner would be a perfect transfer for us to make, because he costs like almost half of his value. I mean, where do you find a striker who is young, who is German, who is already very experienced internationally? He played in the German national team for many years. He's playing in the Champions League, he's playing in the Bundesliga, and he is getting 35 goals and 10-15 assists now for Leipzig. Where can you find a player like that and who is just available for £50 million? It's an absolutely no-brainer transfer, and I think Liverpool really need to make this transfer, because if Werner joins Manchester United or Man City, then I will be devastated and angry with Liverpool, because we need this player. We need to have a backup for Salah, a backup for Mane, especially when Salah goes away for like 6 weeks, 2 months next season. Mane goes away for 4 to 6 weeks next season. We need another really good striker who can come in, hit the ground running, start scoring goals straight away. And also, when Firmino is in this kind of form that he is right now, where he's misfiring a little bit, he's not full of confidence, he's not really scoring his chances, I think it would be perfect if we had a player like Timo Werner. So you could take Firmino out of the firing line, just sit him on the bench for 2 or 3 games, or maybe bring him on as a substitute, so he can just work on himself and his game in the background without the pressure of leading the line for Liverpool. And Timo Werner could come in, he could lead the line, he could score some goals, and when Firmino is refreshed and rested and ready to go, he can come back into the team and hopefully he can start scoring goals again. And the Telegraph published an article which says that Liverpool will be given the Premier League title even if the Premier League season is cancelled. And also there are options of what could happen this season if the teams can't complete the season, and I want to discuss this because I think it's very interesting. So the article says that Liverpool are still likely to be crowned Premier League champions even if this situation causes the season to be abandoned, because it would be impossible to complete it this summer because of the disruptions to the football schedule. There is no regulation governing what happens if the 2019-2020 campaign is abandoned or it's cancelled. A senior club executive revealed on Friday night that there was a little opposition to awarding Liverpool their first English title for 30 years following what threatened to be the longest suspension of the professional football game since the Second World War. Because leaders Liverpool are 25 points clear of Manchester City, and 2 more victories would give Liverpool the title anyway. And there is no appetite among the Liverpool's rivals to deny them the crown, because even the Liverpool rivals know that Liverpool deserve it. So different scenarios are set to be discussed amid the government projections on when the situation will be peak in the UK. And there is a possibility, if the Premier League season is cancelled, that Liverpool will be given the title, and also that no clubs will be relegated from the Premier League, but West Brom and Leeds United will get promoted, and next season the Premier League will have 22 clubs competing for staying up in the Premier League or for the Premier League. And that's a very interesting proposition. But what happens with the Champions League places? Will the Champions League places just be frozen like it is? That would mean that Chelsea finishes in the top 4, and potentially if Man City get panned, then the 5th placed team could get Champions League football next season as well. I think it would be very unfair, certainly, if, for example, Bournemouth got relegated, because they are only in the relegation zone on goal difference, and who knows, their last 9 fixtures, there is a lot of football still to be played. So I'm not sure if I would be happy if the Premier League just froze the season like it is. And of course, if there is no other solution, then I'm all for it. The health and safety of everyone is the top priorities. But at the moment, Manchester United are in 5th place. Sheffield United have a game in hand. And if Sheffield United win that game in hand, they would be the 5th place team. So it would be extremely unjust and unfair if the Premier League season finished like it is, if the games can't be completed. I think what should happen is try to postpone the Euros tournament to 2021 and try to complete the season during the summer if nothing else happens. Or what you could do is wait until you can properly play football, complete this season first, because I think you can't start next season unless you complete this season fully, and you can't really start the Champions League and start the Championship and the Premier League unless this season is concluded. So what could happen, and Jamie Carragher also discussed this on his social media is that you could make next season shorter, and if you can't complete this season by the time next season starts, then just postpone next season and complete the games in August, September, then give a 3-week rest to everybody, and then start the season from like October, maybe with a little bit fewer games. Maybe you could scrap some competitions, but or maybe just like make it so you don't have to play as many international games, maybe as many international breaks. But it would be a logistic nightmare and a legal nightmare as well, because many clubs already have sponsorship deals in place. Many clubs have already, you know, agreed to the rules and regulations of every single like league they are part of, every single cup competition they are part of. So it's uncharted territory, and that's why I'm just really interested to hear what you think about this, and that's why I'm discussing so many different scenarios, because really what is certain is that nothing is certain, and nobody actually knows what will happen, because nobody can see the future and really accurately predict how this will play out, not just in the football world but in the real world as well. We haven't had a situation like this, certainly not in the last like 100 years in Europe. Maybe only in the Second World War we had a situation where you needed to stop the season during mid-season. That happened during the Second World War, and you could only restart the season when there was peace again. And this time it's of course a different situation, but it's a similar situation in terms of you can't play football when there is a risk of many people getting sick. So I think it's going to be very interesting what will happen. The UEFA, according to Sky Sports, are very likely to postpone Euro 2020 until next summer, and also the Champions League and the Europa League is suspended as well. So I'm not really sure how you could really finish the season. UEFA has invited representatives of its 55 member associations together with the boards of the European Club Association, European leagues. They will have a video conference on Tuesday where they will discuss European football's response to this situation. Discussions will include all domestic and European competitions, including the Euro 2020 tournament, and also, of course, the further big communication and big announcements will be made after that discussion is taken place. And Joao Felix said after the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game that the Liverpool crowd was incredible. This is what he said. I shouldn't really say it, but when Liverpool scored, seeing the stadium and their way of celebrating, I had seen this on television, but seeing it live and being within this great atmosphere, hardly anyone wins here, and we are so happy to do it. Of course, it was a very undeserved victory, but nonetheless, it's great to hear that compliment from Joao Felix as well. And Simone actually said a very interesting thing about the rules after the Liverpool Atletico game. He believes the away goals rule needs altering, even though this time it benefited Atletico Madrid. This is what he said. What I have to say, and I will be saying at the next UEFA coaches meeting, is what I think is unfair. Today was unjust because we had 30 minutes of extra time to score 3 away goals. Liverpool never had that. We had 30 more minutes to score an away goal and Liverpool didn't. That's not fair. The rule favored us today, but it might go against us in the future. Liverpool had 30 minutes fewer to score an away goal, and that's wrong. And I fully agree with it. I think if both games after 90 minutes, you know, after 180 minutes, you have to go into extra time, then the away goal rule should be scrapped and it shouldn't count. I mean, if the game finished 2-1 to Liverpool and on aggregate it was 2-2, then Atletico Madrid would have gone through on away goals, even though they already played 180 minutes, 90 minutes at their stadium, 90 minutes at Liverpool stadium. So at that point, the away goal rule should be discarded, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about that, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you later, goodbye!